Russell, let's continue here. Let's talk a little bit about opportunities. This to me, it always me personally. It gets to me because again, like I said, I'm from the hood. I've been in the hood my whole entire life. I've been here. I know what goes on here. I know who's who. I know who does what. I know just by looking at you, sizing you up. I know who you are basically. But you were mentioning that, and not only you, but a lot of people in general. They say this: black and brown communities are not given the same opportunity as other. Why do you say that? But before you answer, let me give you my story. I'm from the Dominican Republic. I've been here about 30 something years. When we landed into New York City, we came into the South Bronx in the early 90s, in 1990. And obviously, what we were talking about was happening in the South Bronx at that time. Crack, drugs everywhere, murder everywhere. One of my most vivid memories was when I came here to the place that we live, which was actually my whole family member, about 8 of us. Then my other two, I had 2 other aunts that lived with us, and one of them had 2 kids. So we had like 10, 11 people at a 1-bedroom apartment living together. We had that when we came as immigrants from the Dominican Republic. One of my vivid most memories that I looked out onto the street and there was a car on fire. There was a car on fire, yeah. And we came to live to almost right next to projects, and again, horrible area of crime in the early 1990s. There was a lot of murder in New York City at that time. My parents, I guess they started doing a little bit better economically, but they didn't know the language. They didn't know what was what and what was when. They moved and they found an apartment where we were able, it was probably like a 2-bedroom apartment, was a little bit more up north in the Bronx. And the area is where the 46th precinct is at. Back then, that precinct was called the Alamo. The Alamo was called because of how crazy that area was with drugs, with murder. Where I used to live at was a street called Creston Avenue and 183rd Street. On that corner, there was a week that they killed like 10 people on that corner alone, right? So we have my parents who are young, they have young children, and they're this crazy murder and drugs and all this. Meanwhile, my dad never, ever, ever decided to do what's wrong. Never decided to do what's wrong. As a matter of fact, he was constantly working. To this day, my father does not know English, but my father has been able to achieve the American dream, right? He's a black Dominican. The Dominicans, we come in all shades and colors. We have Dominicans that look like you, Dominicans that are black. We have and me in the middle. We have everything in Dominican Republic, right? My dad is a black Dominican. He has been a hard worker and has been able to buy a home, doesn't know the English language properly, but he made it happen. He actually took us from that situation where actually even a bullet went into one of the rooms in the house and decided to cross us right across the Lincoln Tunnel into New Jersey, into a like night and day, into a better area, a place called Union City, New Jersey, right across the Lincoln Tunnel. And he saw the problems. He still didn't give up, but he didn't choose. He made free will decision of choosing. Now, first of all, not to get involved, and then second, to take his family somewhere. And again, to this day, he has his own house. Thank God, he has been able to buy good cars. Where is the lack of opportunity? Because I don't see it.
Did you guys come out here as did you guys win like a lottery thing, or were you guys as like refugees? Like,
No.
I came out here as a refugee, so I'm also from a different country.
No,
but what was the
it was just normal immigration. I think it was I think it was my uncle had come over, and he was able to. It was like chain migration, right? My uncle came over, then he brought over my grandparents. Then my grandparents asked for 11 of their children, and then the children obviously asked for their spouses and their children, and we were able to come over to the United States, and that's how we made it here. But
yeah,
to say the question again, I don't think we were lacking opportunity. Wouldn't you say the same?
Yeah. So I think you if you look at studies of like immigrants, if you even look at studies of like in your guys' case, like your father who looks black,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's a black Dominican.
Yep.
If you look at guys from Jamaica, right? Immigrants from Jamaica, immigrants from parts of Africa, right? Ghana. Like I got a lot of friends from Ghana. I got a lot of friends from Nigeria. Those families tend to perform better than a lot of Americans, right? So a part of it might be that you got this perspective, this global perspective that's different, right? A part of it might be that you actually did win a type of lottery system to get selected to be the immigrant, right? This is definitely the case for a lot of Japanese immigrants and a lot of immigrants from Asia, right? Like the whole like Asians are good at math. Well, it's because we tend to get the best Asians, the best of the best that came over here. And then there was generationally cultures advanced, right? And so I think I relate to the immigrant story. I mean, I'm an immigrant, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a overachiever, defy the odds type of guy, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. I love it. I'm with you. I think that is across the board. If you, again, you compare people that were born here and you compare people that were born in other countries that come over here, regardless of their ethnicity, they tend to perform better across the board, right? Which to the conservative point of view can kind of dispel some of the colorism that a lot of people will push on the left, right? Well, it's colorism. The darker you are, the harder it is.
Yeah.
And but that when you look at, again, Jamaicans, when you look at Black Dominicans, they actually outperform a lot of whites, you know, in terms of their capabilities, or people from Ghana, people from Nigeria. So I think there's a lot of truth there. I think what you're describing is, one, a different mentality, two, culture, both parents in the household, and a different perspective. When you come as an immigrant, you have a different perspective versus someone who didn't win any type of lottery to be here, is coming from a fragmented home, whether that's the Democratic, you know, policies that expanded welfare or the Republican war on drugs. I don't know. Like, I can't point back to which individual family, but I think you're talking about two different degrees of social engineering. One is growing up without maybe the father, with a broken family, with a different perspective. One with, hey, I remember communism, like for real. Like people were freaking out about socialism. I remember lining up for food rations.
Wow.
As a kid, I remember we would get a tub of water and we had to share that. And I don't remember how, if it was for a day or a week, there would literally be a tub of water, and that was our water. And then the water was turned off. I remember that. Of course, my perspective is going to be different. Or let's take it to people who travel internationally, Black people from the South Side of Chicago, but they get to go on some trip and go see different parts of the world. Your perspective broadens. It opens up. Yeah. Right. So when I say there's a lack of opportunity, what I'm saying is, hey, I don't want equal output. I am not a socialist. I'm not a communist. I saw that Real Deal Holyfield. That's not lit. I don't think socialism is ever the solution. I don't want a lack of equal output. I want an equal opportunity. And that could be done. It doesn't have to be done through governmental programs, right? I want kids to go to better schools. I want kids to have access to better mentors. If they don't have fathers in their life, I want kids to have access to trade schools. I want kids to have access to technology. I want, right? Whether they're from the South Side of Chicago or they're from freaking the sunny side of, Hipsterville, Brooklyn, which is completely gentrified. Oh, yeah, I want kids to have the same opportunity, right? Okay. So that is my heart. And so I would say that there are still all kinds of things. So I'll give you an example. My buddy moved back here from Arizona, and this is kind of like how some of the covert racist laws work, right? They have a school, it's a charter school, right? So it's a public charter school. But what this school intentionally did is they got rid of their free lunch program, and they made it where every kid had to be dropped off by a parent. Well, who does that eliminate? That eliminates poor people, and usually people of color who are more likely to be poor in these areas, right? So now you have a charter school, which we know charter schools are going to outperform. Yeah. And you're removing certain kids from having access to that charter school. That kid didn't choose to be born into a poor family. That kid didn't choose to be born into a family without the father. That kid didn't choose to, whether his mom was 16 or 26 or 36, he didn't get to choose that, right? I want that kid to have an equal access to the education, to the information, and to the inspiration. I think if we have those three things, education, information, and inspiration, someone like you made it, comes back to the hood, tells you you can make it, they give you the information, and then you have an opportunity to educate yourself through technology, learning how to code, engineer, music, video. So that I think that's my heart. So it's not that I think like there is an opportunity. Of course there's opportunity. It's that I think your environment really impacts you in a radical way. And I think sometimes conservatives will overlook how drastic an environment is, because if environments is if we're honest about it, we would then be like, man, if we're talking about, well, what about aborted Black babies, right? Well, what are you doing? Are you going into the hood and creating opportunities for when those babies grow up, right? Are you there doing charity in the South Side of Chicago, right? Because all my buddies who do charity in the South Side of Chicago usually are ministers. They're coming from a straight ministry standpoint, and I got friends from the South Side of Chicago. I'm just using that as a as a. So I don't know. Hopefully that's making sense. I don't have all the answers on this stuff.
I know you don't. We're just having a conversation. I don't. The only person that has the answer is Jesus Christ, man. Me and you are just humans, and we are having a conversation to try to get to the bottom of these, at least some of these answers, or at least to make it a little bit more livable and address the root of the problem. I don't like to dwell too much on problems. I'm a solutions type of guy because and I'm pretty sure you are too. I mean, it just shows by the way you have lived your life. That you're a solutions type of guy, but sometimes I get there's a lot of complaining, and there's not. I mean, we God gave us free will, so going back to the situation of same hood, same people, my father decided to, first of all, not to get involved, to then take us out. I think it comes down to an issue of free will and of choices, even though. We're finishing it up here, by the way, guys. For the people that are here, please share, please like, do all that good stuff. Helps me a lot. Trying to make it grow, trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers here on the channel. Believe it or not, we don't have it yet, but we're making it, trying to make it happen. And to the issue of free will, let me read you this from, man, I forgot to put the story here or who I got this quote from, but look what it says here. You mentioned Freeway Ricky Ross. This is what happened. Back in the day, Freeway Ricky Ross would offer... No, not that. Let me read this. Between 1982 and 1989, federal prosecutors estimated that Ross bought and resold 3 tons of cocaine in $1980. His gross earnings were said to be in excess of $900 million with a profit nearly of $300. Converted to today's money, it will be $2.5 billion, right? That the man did, right? So he would have been a billionaire. Sadly, he did it with that product, but he was a CEO, man. He will get the people that wanted to sell his stuff. He will give them for free $300 of cocaine, $300 for free, and that way they could sell it and then come back, and then he will then do it. I mean, actually, no, $100. Forgive me. He will give him $100 of cocaine for free, sell it, come back with $300, and then he will do business with them. I mean, he was he had the mind. He was a hustler. He did what he had to do. Sadly, again, he did it with that product, which was destroy so many. People.
Let me ask you this question, Valentine. I would venture off to say that if Freeway Ricky Ross was 25 in the year 2020, with how much technology, how much opportunity there is now because of technology, I would venture off to say that his life would have played out much differently than it did.
There's a big possibility about that. Yes, I will have to agree with you. I think
that the technology that we have access to today definitely levels the playing field, right? That everybody can get access to an iPhone or a smartphone. Everybody can stumble across a Gary Vee video on the Breakfast Club telling people how to flip, and then start flipping from a garage sale, move on to flipping Jordans, and then build their own business. And I know people that did that, like literally started flipping shoes, and now they make $500,000 a year with their own stores, selling shoes from the hood, gangsters, right? I think now that there has been a leveling of opportunity that was different in the 80s. And I think that definitely happens. And I would say, again, we just have to be careful to not fall into the survivorship bias, right?
Yeah.
Like you're coming from an angle where you're coming from both parents in the home. You guys are immigrants, right? And like your parents love Jesus. Like, man, those are some serious advantages that you had, right? Maybe that I didn't have, but that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that I can't get it. I still got out here and got it and got moving and got shaking and made some stuff happen. So, but we also have to just be honest and sober about those things, right? We have to be honest and sober that there are different advantages. So this is my heart, just so we're talking about solutions. What I'm attempting to do is give people information, inspiration, and education, right? I just made a video yesterday, how to actually make money with music. And I went really deep on a 45-minute video on how I became a 6-figure entrepreneur of music. And I didn't charge for no weirdo masterclass, right?
The course.
Yeah. But I'm seeing people that I personally mentor and disciple grow and become 6-figure as entrepreneurs in business, right? Like on a very tangible level. I don't want to just drop names. I'll send you some links to some people after the fact. And then I'm hiring people that I know I could develop and curate talent and give back, right? And I feel like that is a moral obligation as an entrepreneur to help and pass on the information, right? And then I have people in my life. I'm trying to gross to 7 figures. I have 7 figures entrepreneurs that pour into me and are helping me understand what it takes to get to that next level.
You're surrounding yourself by that good culture.
Yeah. And see, culture, right? Culture, that's the key word right there. Because whether you're talking about a corrupt gang culture or you're talking about being in an area where there's a corrupt police culture, or not coming from a family where that has a good godly culture that is teaching you these values. Maybe you're coming from a single parent home. Maybe you almost got aborted. Yeah. These are all things we don't control, man. We don't control a lot of these things. And yes, God is ultimately in control. But I think all I'm saying is, hey, let's be empathetic to the person who may be making bad decisions, who may be addicted, who may be on drugs, who may have. You don't know what that person went through. You don't know if he was molested as a child or raped or saw something really wild happen, right? And all I'm saying is, hey, there are clearly disparities. And we could talk about whose fault it is, or we could say, hey, let's love my neighbor the way I love myself. And sometimes that neighbor, man, he needs a firm word. He needs a rebuke. But sometimes that you just need to hear that neighbor and you need to love that neighbor. You see Jesus doing both. You see Jesus doing both.
100% both, and that's something that's sometimes conservatives they get blamed for not doing, which is the listening part, and then also being what you said, empathetic towards because we know as people that are religious, right, or are Christians, right, that we know that there's a component of free will to it, obviously, that people do decide, no matter whether they put you in the South Bronx, in LA, wherever, with the gangs and all that, you do decide to pick up that gun and commit that stick up. You do that. But there's also the component that if you were in there and your uncle is not showing you to be a gangster and your friends are not showing you to be a gangster, that also influences who you are and what choices do you